Hello, welcome. My name's Katie Chittenden and I am your personal stylist. I am here today to talk a bit about colour and style, body shape and trends, and the importance of dressing well. When people meet us, within the first 7 seconds, whether they like it or not, they're judging us on our appearance. How we look isn't just about what we're wearing, but it's about how we're acting as well. And if we don't feel happy with how we look, if we don't feel confident with our choices, if we're uncomfortable in the clothes that we're wearing, these things are going to show up. So I'd like to share with you today tips on colour, body shape and style personality, to hopefully teach you a few things that you might not know in order to help you look good, and feel more confident. I'm sure Philip's probably already mentioned this, but whether you work for a company or work for yourself, you are a personal brand. How do you want to be perceived? How do you want to look? How do you want to come across? So, I am living, just a bit about me very quickly, I live in the south of Kent in England. I am a mum of 2 boys who happen to be behind me. We're getting ready to celebrate Christmas, so I've come to you in red today, which I wouldn't normally because red's a bit of a scary colour sometimes, but hopefully you'll see it as festive today. I am the key stylist here for you guys, but I'm also the key stylist in 2 menopause groups. And I've done many shows up and down the country, from the Great Yorkshire Show to Professional Beauty in London. I have been practicing colour and style for about 6 years now. I've seen and worked with lots of women and a few men as well. So I can help you with any issues you have. You're welcome to connect with me after. I'll be offering free dominant colour analysis on Messenger if that's something you're interested in, to help you understand a little bit more about colour. And otherwise, just hopefully sit and listen, and hopefully I can teach you a few bits maybe you didn't know to help you along your way. So let's start a bit with colour. Why is colour important? Colour is important for several reasons, not just about how we look and how we feel, but it's, as I said, it's about how we're perceived. And I called out the red because normally I say to people there's 2 colours to avoid in business. Depending on what you're doing, red can be seen as scary. It can be romantic, it can be festive, but it can also put people off and be scary. So if you're walking into a room full of people who you know are shy or anxious, try and avoid wearing red. Equally, if you're the boss of your company and you want to be approachable, avoid wearing colours like black. Opt for colours like navy or charcoal instead, as black can come across as a bit harsh and intimidating. So, the other reason colour is important is because when we're wearing colour here, it will react to our complexion. And depending on our hair, skin and eye colour, it will either lift us and make us look our best self and enhance our natural beauty, or it will drain us. It can make us look sallow. It can increase the signs of aging, redness in the skin and spots, and generally make us not look our best self. I always describe it as those 2 times. One day you get up, you put something on, maybe if you're a woman, you put some makeup on, you look in the mirror and you think to yourself, I look all right today. And then the next day you get up and you do the same thing. You put a different top on, a different lipstick on, maybe gel your hair a different way, and you have a quick glance in the mirror, and for some reason something's not right. Something, you don't look very well, you don't know why. And it can quite easily be the colour that you're wearing having that impact. And so if you're out to a day of networking, business, lunches, you take that energy with you. The day you woke up and you look good, you're like this. You might not spend all day thinking, oh, I look good, but you take that positive energy with you. And the next day, you take that negative energy with you. You don't feel quite the same. You might not want to be seen. So it's all about giving you that confidence. It's also about helping you stand out. If you want to stand out from competitors, if you want to be noticed and stand out from the crowd, how can you wear a colour that suits you and feel confident? I'm going to show you a little bit now how. So we're looking at the hair, skin and eye, and you can have a look as I go through this. Have a look and see what's happening to my complexion. Hopefully you'll see it on camera, and have a think about which of these relates to you. So we're going to start off with the deep panel. People who are deep typically have dark eyes. They might have brown or black, but the colour of their eyes is typically quite dark. The hair colour needs to be medium brown to dark brown to black even, sorry. But the skin can be any colour. Now, I don't know how easy it is to see, but I'm not a deep. So hopefully this is maybe making me look a bit washed out, a bit tired under the eyes. Sometimes there's a bit of shadowing under the chin. I don't know if I've got a camera filter on. That might not help. So that is our deep. Are you a deep? Opposite to our deeps are our lights. So to be a light, you need to have medium to light blonde hair, a fair complexion, and light eyes. So blue, grey, green, topaz. And you can see here, this is a light panel and it looks much better on me. Next up, we have our warm panel. So warms typically have red hair. With all of these are called dominant colour types. We're looking at the first thing we kind of notice. So for me, it's my light blonde hair. For a deep, it might be the dark brown eyes. For these guys, it's all about the red hair. They could be chestnut, auburn, ginger. They could be a really golden brassy blonde, or it could be a really warm chocolatey brown hair. Their skin is typically either porcelain, freckled, olive, golden black. Yeah, golden black skins. And their eyes, most colours, but think hazel, greens. They can have blue eyes, they can have brown eyes. Do you think you are a warm? Next up, opposite to warms, are the cool people. So what do you need to be cool? Typically, warms tan really well. Not always, but they tan really well. Whereas a cool typically burns really easily. So is that you? Do you have a cool base skin? Your eyes might be blue, black, topaz. Your skin is either alabaster, porcelain, or what we call blue black. So if you put a picture of Eddie Murphy next to Beyonce, you might all of a sudden start to see a real blue undertone in his skin. And then the hair could be salt and pepper, grey, pink and purples, tends to throw us into a cool bracket, brown with no warmth, and black or even blue black again. Sometimes the purples, if we dye hair purple, that definitely. And there is a red as well. There's a cool based red. So we'll think of a typically quite a funky red that would also throw you into the cool bracket. They don't look so good in yellow. Next up we have our brights. So the next two, there's bright and there's smoky, that are the opposite. I use the looking out a window for this. So if you're looking out a window, even if the weather's bad, you can see clear and crisp images the other side. If you go into a bathroom where the glass is mottled and textured, you can't see through and everything becomes soft and muted. So this is the bright clear. And what you might notice here is that you're looking down at the panel more than my face maybe. That's because these colours are wearing me instead of me wearing them. These people are all about the eyes. So people who have really bright eyes, they typically have quite a strong white of the eye, and it's all about contrast. So you could have a blue eye with dark hair. Oprah Winfrey used to be quite bright. I don't think she's as bright as she used to be, but again, if you look at a picture of Oprah Winfrey, the whites of her eyes look really black, and then she's got her dark hair, but her eyes really stand out. So lots of contrast, bright eyes, dark hair. Any colour skin. Next up, the last one, we have our soft or muted or muddy or smoky. We used to call this soft, but actually I think we found men didn't like to be called soft, so we call them smoky now. So this one is about having a little contrast between hair, skin and eye. So imagine someone with tan skin, a hazel eye and a golden mousy hair. There's little contrast between the three. Also, typically these people say their eyes change colour, or they'll describe their eyes as having more than one colour in or being muddy and muted. You could be a cooler based soft, so you could have a cool skin, a cool hair and a soft eye. But yeah, little contrast between hair, skin and eye. Which one do you think you are? The other thing to notice is that if you turn really, quite often people are concerned with whether or not they're warm or cool based. So if you are warm skin toned or warm undertone, you typically do tan well. And if you are cool, you typically burn easily. If you're one of these people that turn around a bit like me and say, well, I do have to be careful in the sun, but I do tan a bit if I use my sun cream, then you're what we call a neutral skin tone, which I think that means you're a little bit lucky because you could probably get away with going each way a little bit and breaking the rules. So once you've had your colours done, you tend to get a colour wheel, and in your colour wheel you get 36 colours. When you look at colours, it's interesting to remember and important to remember that we have two types. You have your fashion colours, or you might call them a wow colour, and you have your neutral colours. In order to build a really good working wardrobe, you need really good foundation, and you build your foundation with your neutrals. So for example, these are mine. I'm a light. I don't have any black. I have very light colours. So for me, my white would be white and soft white, and my black would be navy, or I think I've even got a charcoal here, or greys. So I would wear those instead. If you're a warm, you're going to avoid black. If you're a warm, a light, or a smoky, you're going to avoid black, and mostly avoid white as well. So go for soft white is the easiest option. So if you have any bright white items, you can always pop them in the wash, in a mixed wash. That really helps soften that colour up. And if you have anything black, then try and swap it out and opt for either a chocolate, a charcoal, a light navy, or a dark navy. And typically I give that advice to everyone if you've not had your colours done. Once you've built a platform of your neutrals, you can then go in and have a look at what your best colours are. So we'll look at what your wow colours are. You might have 3 reds, but which one really makes you ping? You might have a few pinks or a few blues. Again, we look at your best ones and you can start mixing and matching them. Think about creating an outfit with no more than 3 colours. You might have a neutral, you might have a pop of colour, and you might have a silver or gold, or you might go something like a navy, a mustard, and so if you're warm based, navy, mustard and soft white, or if you're cool based, maybe you'd go for navy, turquoise and white, for example, and consider building your outfit up with those 3 colours. I have got a couple of blogs I'm starting to do which are all about colours, suits, dressing for work. So if you want to head over to katiestyle.co.uk, you might be able to find those there in the next coming weeks, hopefully, or reach out if you want any more advice. So let's move on from colour and talk a bit about body shape. So body shape is different for men and women. Colour is the same for men and women. I'm just looking for my notebook here. But when it comes to body shape, it's slightly different for men as it is from women. Us women are greedy and we get a lot more than the men. So let me start you off. I'm going to run through the different body shapes of women with a couple of little tips, and then I'll head over and do the men. This is all stuff for you to take a snippet of advice, have a little think, stand in front of the mirror, and consider what your shape is. What we want to do is we want to enhance your shape. Everyone is gorgeous, but everyone comes in a different shape and size. And how we wear our clothes, the fabrics we choose, the cuts that we choose, the prints and the scale of the prints will all either enhance our look or make us look not as good as what we'd like to. So let's start with what we call the neat hourglass. I'm going to use this to show you a quick picture of a neat hourglass. She typically has her shoulders in line with her hips when she's standing in front of the mirror, and she comes in a little bit at the waist. She has a neat bust and a bit of bottom. She is arguably probably the silhouette that everyone is aiming for between a neat hourglass and a full hourglass. And you'll see that as we go on. So think of this as a base structure for a female figure. And this isn't something I'm saying is right or wrong. It's inbuilt into us, and it makes sense when you think about it, especially when you get to the full hourglass, that women typically give birth, and when we give birth we have a bigger chest and a bigger hip area, so it's nature. So in order to be a neat hourglass, you need to have, as I said, your shoulders in line with hips, wear the same size clothing on top as you do the bottom, have a defined waist and neat curves. Your styling goals are to show off your figure, never swamp it with heavy fabrics, highlight your waist, so things that come in at the waist are good for you, and balance any scale proportions. So there's never going to be 2 neat hourglasses the same. One might have a bit of a tummy, one might have shorter legs, be taller, be shorter. All these little things in a full style session we go through and dive into a bit more. Next up, we have what we call the full hourglass. So the full hourglass, again, wears the same size on top as she does the bottom. Her hips are also in line with her shoulders, excuse me, but her waist comes in a lot more and she has a bigger chest and a bigger bottom. So she has more curves. She wants to show off her curvy figure. She wants to highlight her waist as well. And she wants to keep, highlight narrow area of the body and keep your curves uncluttered. So the neat hourglass might choose to have a puffy shoulder or detail on their hips to help bring them out more visually. But with the full hourglass, you don't want to come out more, so you want to keep things neat. So bodycon dress is fabulous on you guys. And again, no heavy fabrics. Next up, we have what we call a pear. So a pear typically wears a smaller size on the top half of her body, and then she'll wear a bigger size on the bottom. So she has more width to her hips than she does. She's more narrow on the shoulders. She will have a defined waist, and she does have curvy hips. She wants to maximise her top half with clothes. So we're balancing out here. We want to keep it simple on the lower part that's wider, and we want to be busier on the top half to bring her out and draw our eyes up. So puffed sleeved shoulders, shoulder pads, pattern and colour on the top half. On the bottom half, you want to keep things plain. So you can go for boot cut shapes and wide legs, but you want to go for a darker colour and keep away from the pattern on the bottom half to help balance you out. So a pencil skirt and a blazer with padding would be great on you. Next up, we have what we call the strawberries. Now, we've all heard different body shapes being called over the internet and search for our body shape, and everyone has slight differences. I've got a couple which when I came to it I hadn't heard of, so strawberry was one of them. Strawberries have shoulders wider than their hips, so they're kind of upside down to the pear. They wear a bigger size on the top half, they have a curvy bust, they have a straight rib cage, and they have a little bit of a curvy tummy. So they want to minimise the top half by keeping it darker, and then using their pattern and lightness on the bottom half to draw the attention down. Maximise the lower half with wide leg trousers, pattern and detail, volume in clothing, and create the illusion of curvier hips if desired. So pockets that stick out on the side are fine. A peplum top that sticks out will give the impression of hips that are not necessarily there, which will balance you out. Next up, we have a rectangle. So previously they've all been curvy shapes in some way or another, and curvy shapes look good in a curvy fabric, a floaty soft fabric, whereas a rectangle has little curves, so she's going to look better in a stiffer fabric. So again, her shoulders are in line with her hips, and she'll wear the same size on the top as she does the bottom, but she has no definition or very little definition on the waist area. She might have a smaller bust and straight hips, straight bottom, almost a flat bottom, no bottom. Choose straight structured clothing. Create the illusion of more curves if desired with peplums and boot cut jeans, shoulder pads and so on, shoulder detailing. Flaunt your lean arms and legs, so things that are a bit shorter and show off the arm, for example. A really great thing to remember is this with the shapes. So imagine you have a ball and imagine you have a box. Now imagine you have a silk scarf and imagine you have brown paper. Which fabric is going to fit which shape best? If you take the brown paper and try and wrap the ball, it's going to be a nightmare. It's going to be really difficult, and when you're finished, it's not going to look like a round curvaceous ball anymore. It's probably going to look bigger than it was. And equally, if you take the scarf and you try and lay it over the box and hold it down, it's going to slip and slide all over and it's going to be really awkward. Whereas if you take the paper and wrap the box, it's going to be very easy and look great and smart. And if you take the scarf and wrap it around the ball, it's going to just drape with ease over that ball. So if you remember that when it comes to body shape, that should help with fabric choices. So after the rectangle, I don't know if I showed you the picture of my rectangle. Here you go. There you go. Next up, we have the apple. So there's a picture of our apple. To be an apple, you have a rounded shoulder line. So I've got quite a lot of structure on my shoulders, even under the jacket, but you might have less definition. So you're quite rounded off here on the shoulder. You'll have fullness around the middle. You have great legs. These ladies tell me they have great legs, or they used to have great legs, but actually they still do. And a flattish bottom. They need to choose clothing that hangs from the shoulders. So imagine drapey fabric that hangs right down in a long line cardigan or jacket. Choose styles in that drapey fabric that hang close to the body, and then draw attention to the top third and bottom third of your body. So I want to just show you this picture again. Can you see that there's pattern on the top, then there's a space with a cropped trouser, and then more space and detail on the bottom. So it's about breaking you up into thirds. I think one more left. We have what we call the athletics before moving on to the men. So these athletics have broad shoulders. They tend to be people who are quite fit as well. And they're also called the inverted triangle. So they have broad shoulders and narrow hips. They wear a bigger size on top than they do with the bottom, and they struggle to buy dresses that fit them. Because if the dress is big enough for the top half, it's too big for the bottom half, and so on. They have little definition between their waist and hips. They might also struggle buying trousers because they find that trousers will fit around the waist but not be the right length, or they'll be the right length and not fit around the waist. It's key to note that having a tailor is the best thing you can do for your wardrobe, because when you start to shop with the knowledge of your colours and your style and your style, personality and your body shape, you will inevitably find things that very almost fit the bill but don't. And if they can have a hem taken up or turned down, if they can have bits added or, you know, seams let in and out, then they become the perfect fit for your body shape, and something you will invest in and love forever. So, key styling goals for the athletic: show off your amazing shoulders, so halter neck tops, for example. Keep clothing lines straight and sharp, and add clothing with hip and bust detail. They also look great with the pattern on the bottom half again, but keeping it simple on the top. As you can see here, she's got wide legs, wide leg trousers, and pattern on the bottom half. So let's have a look at the men's shapes. We have 3 men's shapes, so it's a lot easier for you guys. The same applies with fabric. I've left it open on Style Personality. Let me just show you an image of some men. So I am using here the Colour Me Beautiful book for men called Image Matters for Men, Dress for Success by Colour Me Beautiful, written by, does it say who it's written by? No, it doesn't, but I'll just show you. I'll show you the front in a second. Right, here you go. So we have our inverted triangle, our rectangle, and our round or rounded body shape for you guys. Can you see the difference here? So I'm going to start with this one here. Inverted triangle, you have broad shoulders, a full or well-defined chest, a trim waist, and narrow hips. Is that you? For a rectangle, you have straight shoulder line, a straight torso, a flattish stomach, and a flattish bottom. And then for the rounded, you have a rounded shoulder line. So remember, you slope down, you have a little definition, a wider neck, a flat upper chest, which curves out over the rest of the torso, and full and rounded waist. So the same is going to apply for you guys. So an inverted triangle can take a little bit more of a straight to wide leg. You don't want to wear a shoulder pad because you're already wider on the top half. And you can go for, don't go for a heavy fabric on top, but you can go for stiff fabrics. There's a couple more pictures here for you guys. Then we're going to move on quickly to the rectangle. So with a rectangle, your key rule is to ensure that you get a proper fit for your scale. It's a great book to invest in if you feel like you need a little bit of help and don't want the full help of a personal stylist. And then very quickly, we have the rounded, which, so when it comes to formal wear, you must think carefully about the fabrics you select when buying clothes. You probably want a relaxed fitted jacket, softer fabrics that are going to flow and not add too much weight to you. So, right, that's for you guys. Also, just for a reference point, if you're interested, ladies, these are a little bit dated, but you can get them in different languages around the world. This one is the one for women, and also has a lot of information in there too. This is the very old one with the seasons. So next up, let's very quickly run through style, personality. Won't keep you waiting too much longer. Let's do style, personality. Arguably one of the most important parts of colour and style. It helps bring everything together. You understand your likes and your dislikes, why somebody is wearing something you love, why someone else is wearing something and you don't like it. It's not about whether it suits them so much, it's about your likes and dislikes. And when you understand them, you can understand the shops that are best for you to shop in. So if you're someone who struggles to shop, you don't like shopping, you prefer to shop online, but you really struggle to get it right, understanding if you're better in Ted Baker or Karen Millen, for example, it'd be really helpful. So let me run through, and it's the same again for men or women with a few tweaks along the way. I'm going to go back to this Colour Me Beautiful book because then I can show you some images as we go. So the first I want to tell you about is our creatives. And if I can remember, there are cars for men here as well. So our creatives typically love to shop anywhere. They'll shop in second-hand stores, charity shops, eBay, Vinted. They will tweak and make their own items if they can. They like to break the rules. Here we go. I'll show you a picture. Okay, so this, you may or may not know who these famous people are, but this is a good example. Paloma Faith, looking very quirky, but fabulous. So if you're a guy and you like your cars, typically creatives love things like vintage cars, VW Beetles and camper vans, the old school camper vans, for example. Anything I've missed here? You love one-off pieces, random pieces. Your jewellery might be quite chunky and outgoing. And yeah, even in your colours, if you were given your colours, you'd break the rules and wear things you shouldn't. And somehow, even though you're breaking the rules, you make it work and you look fabulous. Next up, we have our dramatics. So our dramatics would have a red fast car, probably something that drinks a lot of fuel. And for our ladies and for our men, they like to shop on trend. They like to wear what's current now. They will shop on impulse. They'll shop at the best stores like Zara and, like I said, Karen Millen, Ted Baker, and they don't mind standing out from the crowd. If it's a woman, her makeup will be dramatic. She might like her eyeshadow as much as her lipstick. Her hair will change often. So are you dramatic? Does that tick your box? Now, when you do colour and style and body shape, quite often we look at one or two different things. So when it comes to style, personality, we're looking at which two you are. So if you're drawn to two, it could be that they are your two. Some people are greedy and they get three. Next up, we have our romantics. So we have Kylie Minogue here for our romantics, wearing all her florals. I was trying to think of a romantic car. I feel like a Mercedes is a little bit romantic. A Bentley's dramatic, but is there something a bit romantic about that, I think. Romantics like their fragrances. So even men, do you make sure every single day you put something smelly on, something smelling nice? Women typically have their perfume in their handbag at all times. They love pretty things. For men, think of Prince wearing a purple suit, for example. So he's dramatic and standing out, but there was something a little bit feminine about people like Prince that can come through in men as well. They love broderie on glaze, silk, satin. Think about those fabrics. Ted Baker and Karen Millen are both romantic to shop at. Luxury fabrics like Angora, cashmere, satin. They love dresses. Men, they love dressing up. They spend a lot of time doing their hair and makeup. Or for men, hair, you have your nails done. Next up, we have our classics. So you can see here, very simple, basic, but smart. Classics will look smart. Your look is timeless and neat. You prefer coordinated. So if you're a woman, or maybe even with a man as well, you'll find that if you have a pair of brown shoes, you make sure you've got a brown bag. So that could work for men as well. If you've got black shoes, you've got a black bag to go with it. Your workwear is smart and understated. Your hair very rarely changes, but it's neat. Your makeup is again understated. You rarely wear jeans. You struggle to dress down maybe. The thing classics have to watch out for is that because you buy investment pieces, you'll spend money on a suit, make sure you're updating it regularly enough. Because you'll get longevity and you'll get your money's worth out your suit, but you don't want a suit from the 80s and then to look dated in the 90s because you're still wearing your suit from your 80s. Your evening wear will be simple. Classic cars. You'll have a classic car. Naturals. Naturals are people who typically don't have a lot of handbags and shoes. They're probably, they could be eco warriors and into their sports. They're not fussed about their cars so much unless they're really sporty, then they might like a fast car. They like life to be easy and comfortable. They don't like ironing. They like natural fabrics and they like muted shades. Your wardrobe may appear disorganised and you will often wear whatever is to hand. Trousers worn with flat shoes for women. You don't like your high heels. You have many interests including reading, fashion, fishing, golf. Your jewellery will be minimal. You don't wear a lot of makeup and do a lot with your hair if you don't have to. You like to go for deconstructed looks. Julia Roberts and Kate Winslet are recommended there. Next up we have our City Chic. So I'm going to show you the City Chic and then I'm going to get my book on men because we don't call them City Chics. I think we call them an international. Dramatic, natural, international, jet setters. These guys know how to dress up and dress down. Johnny Depp, Pierce Brosnan we've got here. You choose sports cars that can be taken anywhere in the world. You like tennis and swimming if you're a man. Very generic. Did I show you a picture of the... Yeah, I think I did, didn't I? So, you guys tend to follow trends rather than high street fashion. You'd rather buy the real thing rather than dress jewellery. Use bright colours with caution, tend to go tone on tone in your look. You keep abreast of the latest trends by reading the magazines. You shop with care and rarely make a rash purchase, ensuring that whatever you buy coordinates with other items that you already have in your wardrobe. And I don't know if anyone recognises Halle Berry here. She looks very chic. So have a little think. Think about what you might be. What is it that you like? It's okay to like what you like. You don't have to like what other people like. But when you understand what you like, you can make choices with confidence. When you understand colours that work for you, you can buy with confidence. You can buy things that will work together in a wardrobe, create a more successful working wardrobe, which makes you feel more confident and happy in your choices. So I think hopefully I've covered everything. This is the first time I've done a YouTube for you guys, and it does feel very, very different. I'm sorry I can't be there to ask questions, but if you do have questions, please connect with me. My email address is info@katiestyle.co.uk. And yeah, I hope you've had a great couple of sessions and you have another couple of good days with these guys. They are excellent and you're in safe hands. Thanks for watching. It's bye from me.